Okay, and so the last parent function we're going to be looking at is secant. So just like cosecant comes from sine, secant comes from cosine. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Okay, so again, the reciprocal means we switch the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so at 0, cosine's 1, so secant is also 1. So we start at 0, 1. Pi over 3, cosine's 1/2, which means secant is 2. So pi over 3, 2. At pi over 2, cosine is 0, which means secant is undefined. Because by now you should know the reciprocal of 0 is undefined. Then reciprocal of negative 1/2 is negative 2. Reciprocal of negative 1 still negative 1, negative 2, undefined, 2, and then 1. So those are our values to make our coordinates. And again, I would start by graphing your asymptotes. It makes it quite easy. So pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. That's where our asymptotes are, where secant is undefined. Then its function starts at 0, 1. Then pi over 3, 2, which is right here. Then 2 pi over 3, negative 2, pi, negative 1, negative 2, then 2, and then 1 at 2 pi. Okay, so those are my points. And then again, so this curve is going to be here. This one, it's going to look very similar to cosecant. And that's one full period of secant. Okay. Now again, just to relate it, I'm going to draw the parent function for cosine. So that's what cosine looks like. And again, just like with cosecant and sine, notice where cosine has its zeros, that's where secant has its asymptotes. Where cosine, and that's there and there, where cosine has its maximums and minimums, that's where secant also has its maximums and minimums, just the reverse. Okay. So again, just like with cosecant, I start with sine and I use that to graph cosecant. When I graph secant, I transform the cosine wave, those 5 key points, and those 5 key points are still what's going to tell me where everything happens in secant. The difference is, of course, that instead of those zeros on the center line being points, they're asymptotes, and those maximum minimum points are going to be those points where they reciprocate and change direction. Okay, those critical points. So now again, we're not going to be transforming cosecant and secant. Okay, we're only going to focus on sine, cosine, and tangent, and cotangent, because they're the 3 easiest. Okay, but I needed to at least introduce you to these so that when you see them again, you'll at least be able to recognize them as a parent function.